So our experience commercializing technology got better with each product. The first product that we commercialized was for the animation industry. So what we did was there's a bunch of software used for animation or computer graphics or industrial design, and we would write plugins to these existing products. And there's benefits in writing plugins in that you don't have to create a whole new ecosystem, and you can use the sales channels that they've already set up. There's disadvantages as well in that you have to kind of fit into the application programming interface, the APIs that they have available, and sometimes it's hard to get a really tightly integrated product. But our first product was for a program called Maya, which is used, it's the most popular program used for animation, so DreamWorks uses it. Most of the animated movies are made using Maya. The reason why we did that is, again, because of our BYU connections. The BYU has a really good animation department, and we are already in touch with Brent Adams, who is the director there. And so they were kind of our in-house beta team. They would try our software out as we were writing it. And we wanted to launch our software at this big conference called SIGGRAPH. It's the biggest conference or trade show for computer graphics. And leading up to that, it was really nerve-wracking for me because I'd never even been to a trade show, let alone tried to launch a revolutionary product at a trade show. And so we hired a PR agency. We got a lot of media there at our booth. So we had a lot of kind of build-up going up to it. We had no idea what it meant to commercialize technology. We knew that T-Spines was ready to be patented, and we figured that people were so excited for T-Spines to come that basically any version of T-Spines, whether it had bugs or not, would just save the day. And so we really didn't know what the minimum product was we needed to get out. We were talking with customers. We were talking with customers from DreamWorks and Pixar and Digital Domain, and we were basically telling them all the benefits of T-Spines. And then after we told them all the benefits of T-Spines, then we'd ask, could any of that help you? And they'd be like, yeah, sure. But there's a difference between someone saying that versus them telling you that they have a problem and then you fixing that problem. As we got closer to SIGGRAPH, it just became obvious that the software had a lot of bugs, and I was getting pressure from my programmers because I was having them work late nights, and their wives were trying to iron out a promise that if we went to SIGGRAPH and they worked late hours, then we would release the product so we'd get money. And I still had all these visions that we were going to make a lot of money, so I was spending a lot of time trying to talk with my programmers about, like, if we made $100,000 in the next few months or $1 million, what everyone's bonuses would be. So we went to the trade show, and again got a lot of attention, and then released the product a few weeks later. And we'd had one pre-order, and then we were really excited what was going to happen when we flipped the switch and started accepting orders. And it seemed like the switch was broken. Because we had no orders, none, zero, for months. And it was probably one of the most humbling experiences of my life. Because we had made top line news because we'd done a good job on our PR, but we just had no concept as far as what was actually useful to this industry. So my first thought was just the technology is just buggy, which it was. It crashed all the time. So we spent a couple of years fixing bugs in that software, just thinking, okay, if we get all these bugs fixed, then it'll be useful to people. And we ended up, I think, maybe selling 80 copies of that software over a few years at $400 a license, which was a complete failure. And so finally, we just had to pull the plug. And the biggest reason why we failed is we'd misunderstood what our competition was. I showed you those slides about comparing T-Spines and NURBS and how NURBS is obviously worse than T-Spines. But there was another technology coming forward just when T-Spines was called subdivision surfaces. And when we'd done our research, we've been aware of it, but we told ourselves that T-Spines was so much better than subdivision surfaces because it was a technological superset of subdivision surfaces. And, what we didn't understand was that designers or animators use software because they have a job to get done. They don't use it because the technology is any more beautiful than any other technology. And in this program, Maya, that we're building a plugin for with T-Spines, already had this subdivision surface technology natively in the software. So even if we improve T-Spines to be almost as good as subdivision surfaces, they'd have to pay extra for it, where they were getting subdivision surfaces for free. And Anyway, it was a really expensive, painful lesson to learn. That having something that solves a problem technologically doesn't necessarily mean it solves a problem for a given market.